The Kennedy Library stood tall against the bright blue sky, a place where history lived and breathed. Inside, among rows and rows of documents and artifacts, was a hidden story waiting to be told. Deep in the archives, in a forgotten corner, sat a dusty, brown cardboard box. It wasn't fancy or important looking, but a simple label, handwritten in faded black ink, hinted at something special. Personal projects. Years had passed since anyone had paid attention to it. It was just another box, lost among thousands. The library bustled with activity. Researchers whispered, students studied, and tourists shuffled through exhibits, learning about President Kennedy's life and accomplishments. But the secrets held within that unassuming box remained silent, waiting for the right person to uncover them. The box sat undisturbed, gathering dust, a silent testament to a part of JFK's life that history books had somehow missed. The air around it was still and quiet, a stark contrast to the lively atmosphere of the library. The cardboard was worn and creased, a sign of its age and the many years it had spent in storage. It was a treasure chest of untold stories, waiting to be opened and shared with the world. The unassuming container was ready to reveal a side of JFK that few knew existed. The box was more than just cardboard and paper. It was a time capsule, holding the echoes of a president's secret acts of kindness. Sarah, a young and eager archivist, had just started working at the Kennedy Library. She loved history and felt a thrill being surrounded by so many important documents. Most days, she carefully catalogued letters and speeches, making sure everything was organized and preserved. But today was different. Her supervisor, Mr. Davies, asked her to help clear out some old storage in the back of the archives. "Just make sure everything is labeled before you move it," he instructed, adjusting his glasses. "And be careful. Some of those boxes haven't been touched in years." Sarah nodded, excited for a new task. She started sorting through the boxes, most filled with mundane things like old office supplies and extra copies of reports. But then, tucked away in a dark corner, she saw it, the dusty, brown box with the handwritten label. Personal projects. Curiosity sparked within her. What could these personal projects be? She glanced around to make sure Mr. Davies wasn't watching, then carefully lifted the box. It was heavier than she expected. She carried it over to her workstation, her mind racing with possibilities. This could be something really interesting, something that could shed new light on JFK's life. With trembling hands, she reached for a box cutter, ready to unlock the secrets within. This forgotten box might just hold the key to understanding a side of President Kennedy the world had never seen. The box cutter sliced through the old tape with a satisfying rip. Sarah lifted the flaps, and a musty smell filled the air, a scent of aged paper and forgotten memories. Inside, the box was filled with neatly stacked files, each labeled with a different year. On top was a single, cream-colored envelope addressed simply to President Kennedy. Her heart beat a little faster. Carefully, she pulled out the letter. It was postmarked from a small town in Kentucky. The handwriting was shaky, but legible. As she began to read, her eyes widened in surprise. "Dear President Kennedy," the letter began. "I am writing to you on behalf of the children and families of Harmony Creek. Our town has been struggling for many years, and our school was falling apart. We didn't know where to turn. Thanks to your generous donation, we were able to build a brand new schoolhouse. The children now have a safe and warm place to learn, and our community has hope again. We will never forget your kindness. Sincerely, Mrs. Eleanor Thompson, teacher." Sarah reread the letter, a lump forming in her throat. She had learned about JFK's famous speeches and his work on civil rights, but she had never heard anything about him personally funding a school in a small town. It was a secret act of kindness, hidden away in this forgotten box. This was just the beginning, she knew. There were many more files and letters to explore. What other secrets did this box hold? What other acts of generosity had JFK quietly performed? Sarah felt a surge of excitement. She couldn't wait to uncover the rest of the story. Sarah spent the rest of the afternoon lost in the contents of the personal projects box. Each file revealed another hidden act of kindness. There were letters from librarians in Mississippi thanking JFK for donating books to their underfunded libraries. There were photos of smiling children in Oklahoma playing on new playground equipment, all thanks to JFK's secret contribution. There were even documents detailing the construction of a small community center in a Native American reservation in South Dakota. She found canceled checks made out to various organizations and individuals, all with notations like school supplies, community garden, or medical assistance. It was clear that JFK had been quietly funding projects all across the country, focusing on communities that needed help the most. One file contained a series of black and white photographs. They showed a group of teenagers learning to code in a makeshift classroom. A handwritten note attached to the photos read, "President Kennedy's contribution helped us purchase these computers. These kids now have a chance at a brighter future." Sarah was amazed. JFK wasn't just a president, he was a secret philanthropist, using his own money to make a real difference in people's lives. The more she discovered, the more respect she had for him. This wasn't about politics or fame, it was about genuine compassion and a desire to help those in need. She knew she had stumbled upon something truly special, a hidden chapter in American history that deserved to be told. As Sarah meticulously sorted through the files, a clear pattern emerged. JFK wasn't just randomly donating money, he was strategically investing in communities that needed it most. He seemed to have a particular focus on children and education. Whether it was providing school supplies, building playgrounds, or funding after-school programs, he consistently chose projects that would help young people thrive. She noticed that many of the letters mentioned how JFK's help had given them hope. These weren't just about money, they were about restoring faith in the future. One letter, written by a single mother in Chicago, described how JFK's donation had allowed her to enroll her daughter in a summer camp, giving her a safe and enriching experience while the mother worked. "It was the first time my daughter had ever been able to do something like that," the mother wrote. "It changed her life." Sarah also found evidence that JFK had been working with a small network of trusted advisors to identify these worthy causes. There were coded messages and discreet memos discussing potential projects and the best ways to provide assistance without attracting unwanted attention. It was clear that JFK wanted to keep his charitable work a secret, ensuring that the focus remained on the communities themselves, not on his own generosity. This wasn't about building a legacy, it was about making a difference. And Sarah was now the keeper of that secret. The pattern was undeniable. Every project, every donation, every act of kindness led back to the same core purpose: helping kids and families living in poverty. JFK's focus was laser-sharp. He understood that providing access to education, safe spaces, and essential resources was the key to lifting communities out of hardship. Schools were a recurring theme. From small rural schools in Appalachia to overcrowded urban schools in the Bronx, JFK consistently provided funding for repairs, new equipment, and additional teachers. Libraries were another priority. He believed that every child deserved access to books and a quiet place to learn. He often donated entire collections of books, carefully selected to inspire and educate. Community centers also benefited from JFK's generosity. These centers served as hubs for families, providing everything from daycare services to job training programs. JFK understood that supporting families was essential to breaking the cycle of poverty. He wasn't just giving handouts, he was investing in the future, empowering people to build better lives for themselves and their children. The evidence was overwhelming. JFK's secret charity was a deliberate and strategic effort to create a more just and equitable society, one community at a time. And he did it all in secret, driven by a deep sense of empathy and a genuine desire to help those in need. Sarah knew she needed to understand why JFK had kept his charity work a secret. She consulted with Mr. Davies, her supervisor, who suggested she reach out to Mr. Thompson, an old family friend of the Kennedys who had worked closely with the president. Mr. Thompson was now retired and lived in a quiet town on Cape Cod. Hesitantly, Sarah made the call. Mr. Thompson's voice was warm and welcoming. He agreed to meet with her the following day. The next morning, Sarah drove to Cape Cod. Mr. Thompson's house was a cozy cottage overlooking the ocean. He greeted her with a smile and invited her inside. After settling in with some tea, Sarah explained what she had found in the personal projects box. Mr. Thompson nodded knowingly. "Ah, yes," he said, his eyes twinkling. "Those were Jack's pet projects. He was a very generous man, but he didn't want any fanfare. He believed that the attention should always be on the people he was helping, not on him." He explained that JFK was worried that publicity would overshadow the good work being done in these communities. He didn't want people to think he was doing it for political gain or to improve his image. He genuinely wanted to help, and he wanted the communities to take pride in their own accomplishments. "He always said, 'It's not about me, it's about them,'" Mr. Thompson recalled. He wanted them to know that they were capable of building a better future, with a little help from a friend. Back at the library, Sarah delved deeper into the files, and she began to see the challenges JFK had faced in his secret mission. It wasn't always easy to give away money discreetly. Some documents revealed the difficulties he encountered finding trustworthy individuals to manage the funds and oversee the projects. There were memos detailing complicated financial transactions, designed to obscure the source of the donations. He often used intermediaries and shell corporations to channel the money, making it difficult to trace back to him. More troubling were the letters and reports that hinted at people trying to exploit the situation. One file contained a complaint from a school principal who suspected that a construction company was overcharging for repairs, pocketing some of JFK's donation. Another file documented an attempt by a local politician to divert funds intended for a community center to his own campaign. JFK had to be vigilant, carefully vetting every project and monitoring the use of his funds. He relied on a small circle of trusted advisors to help him navigate these challenges. The documents showed that he was deeply disappointed when people tried to take advantage of his generosity, but he never let it deter him from his mission. He learned from his mistakes and became even more determined to ensure that his money reached the people who needed it most. The road to doing good, Sarah realized, was not always smooth. One file, in particular, stood out to Sarah. It detailed the construction of a playground in a rundown neighborhood in Philadelphia. The neighborhood was plagued by poverty and crime, and the children had no safe place to play. The existing playground was a wasteland of broken swings, rusty slides, and cracked asphalt. The file contained before and after photos. The before photos were heartbreaking, children playing amidst the decay, their faces etched with sadness. The after photos were a complete transformation. A vibrant new playground had sprung up, complete with colorful slides, sturdy swings, climbing structures, and a soft, bouncy surface. There were letters from parents describing how the playground had changed their community. "It's like a miracle," one mother wrote. "The children have a safe place to play, and they're smiling again. It's brought our neighborhood together." Another letter described how the playground had reduced crime in the area. "The kids are too busy playing to get into trouble," the letter stated. "It's given them something positive to focus on." Sarah also found a drawing from a little girl named Maria, thanking Mr. Kennedy for the playground. The drawing showed children laughing and playing, surrounded by sunshine and flowers. It was a simple but powerful testament to the impact of JFK's secret charity. The playground wasn't just a place to play, it was a symbol of hope, a beacon of light in a struggling community. It was a reminder that even small acts of kindness can make a big difference in the lives of others. And it was all thanks to JFK's hidden generosity. As Sarah closed the file on the Philadelphia playground, she leaned back in her chair, a profound sense of awe washing over her. She had come to the Kennedy Library to work with history, but she had stumbled upon something far more meaningful than dates and speeches. She had discovered the heart of a man who genuinely cared about others. It wasn't just the money he had given away, it was the way he had given it, quietly and without seeking recognition. He could have easily announced his charitable work to the world, earning praise and admiration. But he chose to remain anonymous, allowing the communities he helped to shine. Sarah realized that JFK's commitment to helping others ran far deeper than she had ever imagined. He wasn't just fulfilling a sense of duty, he was driven by a deep-seated empathy and a genuine desire to make the world a better place. He saw the potential in every child, the strength in every family, and the hope in every community. And he believed that with a little help, they could achieve anything. Sarah felt a renewed sense of purpose. She knew that she had a responsibility to share this story with the world, to reveal this hidden side of JFK's legacy. It was a story of kindness, compassion, and unwavering commitment to helping those in need. It was a story that deserved to be told. And she was determined to tell it. Sarah knew she couldn't keep this story to herself. It was too important, too inspiring, to remain hidden in the archives. She approached Mr. Davies with her findings, showing him the letters, the photos, and the financial records. At first, he was skeptical, but as he reviewed the evidence, he became increasingly convinced. "This is incredible, Sarah," he said, his voice filled with excitement. "This could change the way people see President Kennedy." Together, they presented their discovery to the Kennedy Library's board of directors. The board members were astonished. They had no idea that JFK had been involved in such extensive charitable work. They immediately approved Sarah's proposal to create a special exhibit showcasing JFK's hidden legacy of kindness and generosity. Sarah worked tirelessly to prepare the exhibit. She carefully selected the most compelling letters, photos, and documents, crafting a narrative that would capture the essence of JFK's secret charity. She wanted people to understand his motivations, his challenges, and the profound impact he had on so many lives. The exhibit opened to great acclaim. People from all walks of life came to learn about JFK's hidden side. They were moved by his compassion and inspired by his generosity. The exhibit sparked conversations about the importance of giving back to the community and the power of small acts of kindness. Sarah had succeeded in sharing JFK's story with the world, ensuring that his legacy of kindness would live on. The impact of the exhibit extended far beyond the walls of the Kennedy Library. Inspired by JFK's example, people across the country began to look for ways to give back to their own communities. They volunteered at local schools, donated to food banks, and organized neighborhood cleanups. Many were inspired to give in quiet, meaningful ways, just as JFK had done. A group of teenagers in Chicago started a tutoring program for younger students. A retired teacher in Mississippi began collecting books for the local library. A businessman in Philadelphia donated anonymously to help rebuild a community center. News stories about the exhibit highlighted JFK's commitment to helping others without seeking recognition. People began to realize that you didn't have to be a president or a wealthy philanthropist to make a difference. Even small acts of kindness could have a ripple effect, transforming lives and communities. The exhibit also sparked a national conversation about poverty and inequality. People began to ask themselves what they could do to create a more just and equitable society. JFK's hidden legacy had become a catalyst for change, inspiring a new generation to embrace compassion and generosity. His secret acts of kindness had finally come to light, and they were making the world a better place. The story of the personal projects box had become a story of hope and inspiration, proving that one person's commitment to helping others can truly change the world. Years later, Sarah stood proudly in the Kennedy Library, gazing at a new addition to the permanent exhibits. It was a dedicated space honoring JFK's secret charity. A bronze plaque read, "In memory of President John F. Kennedy, whose quiet generosity transformed communities and inspired hope in the lives of countless children and families." The exhibit featured interactive displays, allowing visitors to explore the stories of the communities JFK had helped. There were videos of people sharing their experiences, letters of gratitude, and photos showcasing the positive impact of his secret donations. Sarah smiled, knowing that JFK's good deeds would never be forgotten. His legacy of kindness would continue to inspire generations to come. She had played a small part in uncovering this hidden chapter of history, and she was grateful for the opportunity to share it with the world. The Personal Projects box, once forgotten in the archives, now held a place of honor in the library. It served as a reminder that even the most powerful leaders can make a difference through quiet acts of compassion. And it proved that true generosity lies not in seeking praise, but in helping others without expecting anything in return. JFK's secret charity was a testament to the power of kindness, a legacy that would continue to shine brightly for years to come. And it all started with a dusty box and a curious archivist named Sarah.